Now, if you own a subwoofer or if you are really heavy into home theater and music, you've probably heard that they say don't put a subwoofer in a corner or keep it away from a corner, don't put a speaker near a wall. You probably heard this, but maybe you don't know why. So in this video, I want to address one big thing. Should you put a subwoofer in the corner? What does it do to the sound? What does it do when you put a speaker against the wall? Why should you or should you not do it? In what cases is it okay to do that? Let's talk about that right now. So those who don't know my channel, I have two SVS PB4000 subwoofers, and we all know that my room is nowhere near very big at all. But I have two big subwoofers, and so placement is very difficult for me. Finding a place that sounds good and aesthetically is pleasing is very difficult. So I'll start by showing you where I have my subwoofers, and then I'll tell you why one of them is not ideal. And then I'll also tell you how it affects the sound. So you guys can kind of see there in the corner of the picture, there's the first PB4000 right there under the desk, sort of under the desk. And that one's away from a corner. It's near an open space area. So you can say that this kind of sounds a little more natural, a little more open, because there's no boundaries, no walls to reinforce any of the bass. It's kind of more tuned to how it's supposed to perform. But my other PB4000 is down here. So here is my second PB4000. You can see this one's tucked into the corner. And it's there because aesthetically, it's the best place for it to be in this small room, but not the best place for the subwoofer itself to be necessarily. So let's talk about what's going on with this certain subwoofer. So you can see that it's in a corner, tucked in the corner, so the walls are closing in on it like this. So this is acting as another box, essentially. So the subwoofer is a subwoofer box itself, kind of in another box. When you put a subwoofer in a corner and you create a second box, you create what we call boundary gain, which is amplified bass. It re-emphasizes the bass that the subwoofer is playing, and that can have a negative effect on your sound system. It could be too overbearing. It could make it muddy. It could sound muffled. It could make it a little less accurate in a corner. But that's not always true for every subwoofer or every speaker. Now, this certain subwoofer has a lot of power on its own. It doesn't need any help from the walls or the room. So when you put a subwoofer of this kind of size in a corner, what you cause is a lot of boominess, and you take away from the ingenuity and the clarity and the accuracy of the driver that was made already from SVS or any other subwoofer you may have in general. Smaller subwoofers who don't have the ability to get low, doesn't have the ability to reproduce really loud bass, you actually may benefit from putting it in a corner. Like I said, you're reinforcing that bass. You're adding a little more output to your subwoofer when you put it into a corner. So those small speakers, like a bookshelf speaker or a smaller subwoofer, it may actually benefit from tucking it closer to a corner and re-emphasizing some of that bass. So if you have a subwoofer now that maybe is an 8-inch or 10-inch, or maybe is like a 100-watt, 200-watt subwoofer, not very loud or very deep, you can tuck it towards a corner a little bit and you can actually reinforce a little bit of the bass and bring out some of the lower notes. Now, it's not going to just change your whole subwoofer performance. It's not going to be a big difference, but a noticeable one. So if you have a smaller subwoofer and you really want a little more output, tuck it towards a corner and you can start to see that some of that bass increases. But you want to be careful. Listen and see what it's actually doing, because if you tuck it to a corner, it could bring out more bass or it could emphasize the wrong parts of the music. Keep that in mind. So let's go back to this subwoofer right here. So this one isn't tucked into a corner. It's more towards the front of the room, kind of outward. There's an empty hallway space here, so it's kind of performing into the room, not tucked away. So this one's going to perform differently, but how? Like I said, the subwoofer in the corner is going to give you a lot more output because it's in a corner, and it may negatively affect the sound system. This one's going to perform more like the actual speaker is made to sound because there's nothing else influencing this speaker. And this is usually ideal. It gives you more of a natural sound. It retains the performance level that it was made to do, and there isn't anything reinforcing them, especially with the SVS PB4000s. Again, they are brutes on their own. They don't need any help from anything in the room. But how do you fix a problem like two different placements of subs, one in the corner, one outside in the room, or whatever the case may be? I'm lucky enough to have an app with my subs which allows me to change and tune the EQ to make them sound the way I like them and to make them sound better. And that's what you're going to have to do as well. You're going to have to play with the crossovers and play with the volume knob to really get both subwoofers to play with each other and get a cohesive sound. If that speaker in the corner is a lot louder than this one, then I need to change the volume on that one or bring this one up. If I'm getting a lot of muddy bass from that one around, let's say 40 hertz, 50 hertz, then I can go in the app and tune that down a little bit to match it more towards what I have going on here. This would be my ideal reference level sub here because this one is more ideally placed. So you want to go in and kind of tune in both speakers and kind of take the one in the corner and make it match to this one. Turn it down a little bit or bump this certain frequency or lower this certain frequency so that they're playing together and that they sound like they're supposed to. Tight, accurate, and deep. So should you put a subwoofer in a corner or a speaker against the wall? Well, honestly, that's up to you. I prefer or suggest kind of going through all your options and seeing what sounds the best, and if the corner is the winner, then that's the winner. But it's going to be up to you, your room, and your ear. So I'll say yes, put it in there if you need it, but no if you can avoid it. That's going to be my answer for you guys. Alright, that's all I got to say. Get out of here. Look, it's 11:51. I'm tired. Go on get. And subscribe. Kpaceguy out. Peace.